Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Today's video, we're going to be talking about, are you getting enough protein? If you're not getting enough protein, it could be impacting your bones, your neurotransmitters, your hormones, and even increasing your chance of dying. We'll dive into that. And before we do, please smash that like button, thumbs up, make sure you hit that bell so you get notifications of great content coming your way, and love to see your thoughts down in the comments. All right, so first off, what is protein? These are nitrogen-rich compounds, about 20 usable amino acids in the body. About 9 are essential, meaning your body cannot make it. The other 11, they can make. So 9, your body has to get it through food. And again, plant protein, or I should say animal protein, is going to be the most nutrient-rich because it's going to have all of those 9 essential amino acids in it. Typically, plants are going to be missing a lot of times methionine and lysine. Usually 1 or 2 that are missing on the plant side. Plus the plants, you got to combine it, and unless you're doing a protein powder, you're tending to get about 3 to 4 times more starch than protein. So for every 3 to 4 grams of starch, you get 1 gram of protein. So you end up eating a lot of carbs, which can drive insulin resistance in some people. So just a little thought on that. So in general, protein, very important. Nitrogen-rich compounds, 9 are essential. Let's dive in to my little list here. So what's protein? We talked about that already. People don't realize when we talk about bones, for instance, like the first thing I talk about bones, how to improve it, you're probably thinking, oh, calcium, right? Calcium's white, your bones are white, teeth are white, you need calcium, right? Well, actually, your bones are half protein. So yeah, calcium's important, strontium, magnesium, right? Really good things, but we also need protein. Our bones are half protein. We need force on those bones. We need that piezoelectric effect of force, that use it or lose it type of strategy, or that input, which then tells our nervous system to help lay down more calcium. Also, vitamin K, very important for getting that calcium in the bloodstream back into the bone. So vitamin K is super important, but protein is essential for that. Muscle, very important. Protein is the raw material for our muscle, right? That's going to be connective tissue, allow us to move, allow us to function well. Muscle is an incredible reservoir for glucose. And so part of the reason why insulin resistance happens in people, one, too much carbohydrate, right? Eating too much glucose and inflammatory foods. But the more muscle we have, it's a storage site for it. It's like your kid spilling cereal on the table. If I have a bigger microfiber towel, I can sop up more, versus I have a small little tissue. It's like, well, it's going to get saturated pretty fast. So muscle is going to give you that greater capacity to handle excess glucose, and glucose, too much of it, the advanced glycation end products, all of the stress and inflammation, blood flow, kidney issues, microvascular issues with the eye and the blood flow is causing a lot of problems. So big deal. Now, people don't realize, but protein is going to be a strong building block for all your neurotransmitters. So if we look here, depression, anxiety, sleep, mood issues, having inadequate levels of neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, these are going to play roles in creating symptoms downstream. So inadequate levels of serotonin, that can impact mood. Same with lower dopamine, can impact mood and focus, and that's that I love you neurotransmitter, very important for focus as well. Sleep, again, serotonin converts to melatonin downstream, so very important for sleep. And of course, mood, serotonin and dopamine have a major influence on mood. And then also GABA is that inhibitory neurotransmitter that helps your body kind of relax, hit the brake. And then we can add pain to this list, right? Because we have beta endorphin. That's a 19 amino acid kind of compound. Beta endorphin's that natural kind of pain relieving kind of compound, mood enhancing as well. So again, mood strictly connected to protein. How about hormones? How are hormones connected? Well, again, typically protein's going to come with fats and cholesterol, right? Unless you're eating ultra lean sources of protein like chicken breast or like, rabbit meat, you're going to get usually fats and cholesterol with that. And a lot of those fats and cholesterols are going to have building blocks for your hormones, right? If you look at your steroid-based hormones, those are all cholesterol-based hormones. You have some peptide-based hormones, which peptide means amino acid, right? Protein, think of protein as the big necklace, right? And think of the peptide as the individual stones or pearls on those necklace. So the goal is to take protein, we break it down into peptides. So we have peptide-based hormones like insulin, like growth hormone, and then cholesterol-based hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, etc. And so protein's typically going to have your peptides in it because that's protein, but you're also typically going to get your cholesterol and your good fatty acids with it. So that provides really good hormone building blocks. And so if you're menopausal, or if you have low testosterone or cortisol issues, you need to be eating the raw material to build healthy hormones. It's absolutely vital. Now, here's some recommendations. So you can take these numbers here, like 0.8 or 1.2 grams per kg. There's 2.2 kilograms per 1 pound. So if you do like 0.8 grams divided by 2.2, you get about 0.35, 0.36 grams per pound of body weight. That's too low. Some of that research was done over at University of Wisconsin in the 70s. They were tagging these different isomers of protein. The newer research is showing up to 1.2 kg per kilogram. You take 1.2 divided by 2.2, you get about 0.55. That's better. That's better. So that's kind of my low end starting point. So my recommendation, I like to keep it simple. Let's convert it to pounds out of the gate. So 0.5 grams per 1 gram, or per one, let's update that here. 0.5 grams of protein to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Let me update that here for you guys. So we have 0.5 grams to 1 pound of body weight. So pp, pound per body weight. All right, there you guys go. So if I am 200 pounds and I'm trying to get 0.5 grams per pound, okay, we'll do 0.5 grams per pound to 1 gram per pound. So if I'm 200 pounds and I'm trying to get 0.5 grams, guess what? That's going to be 100 pounds. So really important on that one. If I'm a bodybuilder, I'm exercising a lot, I'm going to shoot for 1 gram per 1 pound per pound of body weight. 200 grams of protein, or 200 pounds a person, 200 grams of protein, 150 pound person, 150 grams of protein. Most people will be somewhere between 0.5 and 1. So if you're like a little active, like you're getting 10,000 steps, you're doing a little bit of lifting, maybe 0.75. So if you're like 150 pounds, you're probably looking around 120 grams of protein. Now, how does that look like in actuality? So about a palm is about 3 to 4 grams of protein, right? Depending on how big you are, right? A smaller woman could be closer to 3. I'm a bigger guy, 6'2", 200 plus pounds. It could be closer to 5. So 3 to 5 ounces is about a palm on average. And so typically you're getting 3 to 4 grams of protein is giving you about 25 to 30 grams of protein. So 3 to 4 ounces, about 25 to 30. So you should shoot for, if you're like a 150 pound woman, you should shoot for at least that 4 ounces 3 times a day. That'll get you right around 100 grams of protein. And that'll get you in that 0.7, 0.65 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That puts you right in that good spot. Now, if you are, let's say, a CrossFitter doing a lot of bodybuilding, then we should shoot probably closer to a fist or maybe even a full hand. That'll get you to that 6 or 7 ounces, and that'll get you to that 1 gram per pound of body weight area. And again, you may have to make a little bit of ground up with like a protein shake once or twice a day to get to that higher level, but most people are going to be somewhere in that 0.5 grams per pound of body weight to maybe 0.7. So most people are sitting there, and then your CrossFitters, people that are really active, may have to go a little more. So again, the original recommendations through CDC and the data is talking you 0.8 kg or 0.8 grams per kilogram. Again, 2.2 kilograms to 1 pound. So just take that recommendation divided by 2. 0.8 will be about 0.35. 1.2 grams will be about 0.55. My recommendation is 0.5 up to 1. 0.5 on the lower side, more sedentary, up to 1, a lot more active, a lot more lifting, professional athlete level, CrossFitter level. How do you test for protein? This is a great question. So first thing is I'm going to just run a chronometer or MyFitnessPal. Let's just run your foods through that. Let's see where you're at. Based on my 0.5 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you can kind of base it based on activity and just use common sense. We can look at some lab testing because there could be other issues going on. If you're really stressed, really catabolic, a lot of cortisol issues, you may be burning through protein. You may have poor gut function. Low hydrochloric acid and enzyme levels may not be breaking down things well. That could be a real thing. And so it's good to look at different blood testing. So I'll look at a serum protein. I want to be 6.9 to 7 or higher on a blood test. On a bun, I want to be 15 to 20 is a pretty good range. Again, these are all like in that middle-ish reference range, maybe 1 standard deviation to the left, 1 to the right. A typical reference range is about 2 standard deviations. So we kind of narrow it down. I may even go just a little bit more, shift it to the higher side on that. It's fine. So we talked about bun, talked about creatinine as well. So depending on the lab range, sometimes you'll see 0.5 to 0.6 on the low side, up to like 1.2 on the high side. So somewhere like 7.7 to 1 is pretty good on the creatinine side. Now, when we look at our different protein markers, albumin and globulin are the big transfer proteins of your amino acids. About 60% of all protein is in albumin, 40% is in globulin. So we'll look at those markers too and want those to be somewhat in the middle of the reference range. If those are overly low, that's another sign that there's low protein. So when I'm looking at like a CBC or metabolic panel, there's a lot of markers, right? We have albumin, globulin, right? Albumin 60% of your protein, globulin's 40, serum protein, bun, creatinine, 5 solid markers. And again, if your albumin or globulin goes too high, guess what? Dehydration. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're hydrated. If it goes too high, you may not be drinking enough water. And again, I've been doing this for well over a decade. I'll look at these markers in conjunction. I typically size someone up. I say, okay, 150-pound woman, okay, good. So you should be eating at least that palm to fist. All right, are you doing 3 fist size of protein at each meal? If we're not, then I'm like, all right, then we kind of, my thinking cap comes on and we kind of look at things a little deeper. And so same thing, 200-pound guy, you eating close to a fist to a full hand. Okay, we're not, then we adjust things. Vegan, vegetarian, okay, then we keep an eye on the carbohydrate. So that's kind of how my thinking is and how I look at situation. Now, we can also look at gut function tests. If we have a lot of gut inflammation and low enzymes and low acids, there's a lot of variables to this because we have absorption and gut function and acid and enzyme levels. Also, just making sure we chew our food up really well. If we have, a lot of inflammation, we could be having a lot of maldigested food. If we're really stressed and our hormones are off, we could be very catabolic and we could be breaking down protein hormonally. That protein gets converted to what? Actually, glucose. And so when you're stressed, your protein needs may even go higher as well. So you got to factor all these things in. So when you look at a patient, you got to take all the emotional stressor factors in, hormone stressors, gut, enzymes, acids, and really just look at the whole thing and look at that patient in totality to really understand kind of where they're at and make a comprehensive functional medicine plan that gets to the root. So when we're looking at protein, it can affect hormones, it can affect your gut, your bones, your muscles, your mood, your sleep. So it can affect all these different things. Gut, not butt. And one other thing, let me show you a couple things here. Talked about mortality, right? I mentioned that earlier. That's kind of a bombastic claim. Let's go look at that real quick. Okay, I'll pull this up here. All right, so association between dietary protein intake, grip strength among adults 51 and over, okay? Go down to the results. Higher protein intake was associated with higher energy intake, greater grip strength in both sexes. So higher protein was associated with greater grip strength. Why is that important? Well, yeah, so more protein, better strength, that's good, right? But what does grip strength have to do with it? So by the way, grip strength, we measure that with a dynamometer. It's like a thing you can grab, you squeeze it, and then based on your age and your age and sex, it'll give you how much you should be able to grab that like strength, how many pounds you should be able to create. And so like if you're a 40-year-old guy, it'll tell you exactly how many pounds. Same thing with a female. Now, if you go to this study here, Frontiers Health, association of grip strength and comorbidities all cause mortality. Again, this is looking at hypertensive adults, but again, the correlation runs true. This is a 2023 published article, Aging and Public Health. Well, guess what? We go into in that study, there's a meta-analysis, right? That means multiple studies. So you're looking at a conglomeration of dozens of studies, 38 studies involving 2 million participants and 63,000 deaths. And so these mortality cases use grip strength as a predictor for muscle strength and found that the higher levels of grip strength were associated with lower risk of all-cause mortality. Crazy, all right? This is nuts. And so what this is saying is greater grip strength, right? So greater grip strength, less chance of dying. Why? Because that means you have more muscle. What kills people as they get older? Falls. Falls kill people as they get older. Knocks their hip out, puts them in a senior living center or gets them on opiates, and then they start to wither away. So grip strength, muscle mass, also muscle plays a big correlation with bone. So you have strong muscle, that means you have strong bones. You have strong muscle, that means you're going to have better ability to stabilize and balance as well. So this is really, really important. People think about living great life, right? The protein plays a big role because protein equals muscle. Muscle equals bone health and balance. And we can do the same correlation. Higher testosterone in guys as well, more muscle, decrease all-cause mortality across the board. So this is really important. All right, guys, if you want to dive in deeper, you want more functional medicine support, you want to dive in, look deeper at your hormones, your gut, and other different things that we talked about here today in the labs. We talked about some of the protein markers. We can look at hormones and everything else and dive in deeper. If you want to do that, there'll be a link down below where you can reach out with my staff and team. We are happy to help you guys. We see patients functional medicine-wise worldwide. So if you want to dive in, feel free and let me know. All right, guys, enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments below. Take care. Bye.